Yeah.
Rajat, would you like to start?
Yeah. So, Jatin, first of all, welcome to the show. And just as you know, that this podcast is really to help students, like college students, to get a very clear understanding of the college life, how they should approach the college life, how should they should like sit in the interviews, kind of interview tips, and like I would like to introduce Jatin to the audience. Jatin is was an undergraduate at Delhi University, and I think he's passed out this year, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, and he's been working from the last few months as an intern at Amazon India, and will be joining soon as a SD intern in a full-time opportunity.
Yes, I joined last week actually.
Yeah, he joined last week as SDE full-time opportunity in Amazon India. So, like Jatin, since you know that most of the students are college students, right, from first to fourth years and something like that. So, most of their doubts is like how to approach the college life, especially for the first year students. They are like a clean slate. They do not know how. Like it becomes very overwhelming in the starting. So the most of the questions will be of that domain only to help the students out. And so yeah, like you are a coder, you code, right? You are an SDE at Amazon. So I would
Right.
like you to ask more questions on that side only. And you are in a college, like in Delhi University. So what were the like first technologies that you learned in web development or anything?
Right. So, hi guys, this is Jatin. So basically, I started out college. I did P.S Computer Science honors from the Deen Upadhyay College. So I started out in 2014, and the first thing I did was I think it was a basic PHP web development workshop. So that was probably the first time I was introduced to web development. So that we can probably say was the first technology stack in college I learned. Before that, we did coding in C++ and data structures and other things. But
Mhm.
if you ask about a proper framework to properly develop applications, I think that was the time I actually got into development. And after that, I got on to proper web development.
Okay, okay. So like you learned PHP and data structures and algorithms. So in which semester did you like started learning the data structures and algorithms? It's kind of a vital part of engineering.
Uh, okay. So I think I chose computer science in my class 11th and 12th. So if you ask about data structures, I think the basics of stack and queue were introduced in class 11th or 12th. But
Mhm.
if we are talking about proper coding on something, I think the college first year is probably the time everyone starts proper coding of data structures and algorithms.
Okay.
So yeah.
So like you've been spending last 4 to 5 years doing data structures and algorithms.
Uh, yeah, if you say it like that, it will sound like a lot of time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, sure. I mean, we do not work full time on data structures, right? It's like
Hmm.
a college semester. You get a semester out of college, so it's that kind of stuff.
Definitely.
So overall, I've been studying computer science for the last 5 6 years, so that will be much better to say.
Okay, okay.
Jatin, one question I'd like to add over here. Since you have started working as a full-time professional, I'm sure you have gathered some more knowledge which the college students aren't exposed to. If with the same knowledge you are to do your college bachelor life all over again, which technology would you pick? To learn the first this time over. If you are to
Actually, I would really pick Java over anything else because we have been taught to do C++. I don't know why we are taught to do C++ so much because in the industry, most of the work in most of the companies is based on Java, all the legacy code and everything. So I still get stuck sometimes on modern Java and fundamental Java concepts because I do not have a lot of experience with Java. So if I had to start all over again, I'll probably pick Java after doing a little bit of C++. So I would have Java expertise by now, so that would help all over my job.
That was a nice answer. And if I'm to go over this tangent only, Java is an old language, right? One of the oldest out there and the most developed. But some people say that Java has, run its course and it's time for it to be replaced by other languages.
I
What do you think
I don't
is going to
think so. It's going to be replaced anytime soon. I mean, there are better languages, I'm sure. Go Scala and Go and other languages are there, Kotlin as well. But we have to understand that companies do not replace their code in 1 year or 2 year, right? Like for
Definitely.
Amazon has been doing development for the past 15, 20 years. So their almost all of their code is majorly in Java. So to replace that and to replace that efficiently, so basically in coding, in computer science we say that if a program is running, you do not touch it, right?
Yeah.
So it involves a lot of cost if we want to replace all that Java code with the new languages, which are not yet mature enough, right? We do not know what kind of trade-offs we'll be getting in those languages in near future. So to work at Amazon scale, at least in big companies like Adobe, Microsoft, Facebook, or Google, I don't think it's going to be replaced anytime soon. At least not for the next 5, 10 years, not at all.
Okay. And like one thing about Java is that it is a very big language as compared to C++ or Python. You can complete C++ in 2 or 3 weeks, but Java is not something like that. It contains like each and some extra topics like abstract classes and everything. So okay, that is about Java. And okay, so like you learned PHP. Apart from PHP, do you do anything like machine learning, AI, cybersecurity, or anything?
Yes, I did PHP. Actually, the question was my first language, so
Hmm.
first framework. So in 2015, I guess I did PHP. After that, I've been picking up a lot of things lately, right, for the past 3, 4 years. So
Okay.
I'd say in college there are a few things. So you start from basic HTML, CSS, then you go over JavaScript.
Hmm.
In JavaScript, you go a little towards React as well. So I have a little experience with React as well.
Mhm.
Then in terms of technologies, I'm sure we are all aware about how Git moves on. That Git is basically the first developer tool. One should definitely
Yeah.
learn Git.
Yeah.
And after Git, we slowly move towards other tools, Docker, maybe Docker or other tools. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't think I have enough experience with machine learning to say anything about it. I've developed a few apps
Mhm.
with machine learning, but all of that works through APIs, right? We all know how APIs works.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I spent some time learning how neural networks and everything works, but I don't think I have enough expertise to say anything about it as of now.
Okay. Okay. So, like Jatin, there is one simple question that, I think strikes everybody, and it is one of the major questions that I feel in my journey of coding. And the question is that should I go deeper and deeper into one particular technology? For example, if I'm on the website, should I learn more about web technologies like Docker and like React, and then learning more about how to make plugins and everything? Or should I like diversify my portfolio, learn everything, touch every surface, and do not go deep into any of the technology?
That is a very good question, actually. So
Mhm.
there are two trains of thought. Like, as you said, do you want to go inside one technology as a DFS, or do you want to spread your bread first?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
honestly, I don't know how would one approach it. If you are talking about my experience, it was something like I naturally went into bread first. So I have a little bit of knowledge about all the tech stacks around here on might it be Android or is it web development or machine learning. I have a little bit knowledge of everything. So if I need to get into a new stack or new technology, it would be easier for me to go inside it, right?
Okay.
But there is another train of thought of DFS where I met people who are so good at web development that when I see them, I think that one should really focus on DFS because it gives you truly makes you a better engineer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think DFS will truly make you a good engineer. So my advice would be to first go inside one technology, do it properly, at least be an expert at it, and then maybe you can start to
Diversifying.
expand a
Yeah.
little bit. Yes.
Okay, okay.
So, Jatin, the first technology stack you learned was using PHP, right? So,
Yes.
what was your first internship which you scored? On basis of what skills did you score that?
Uh, honestly, honestly saying, I was very scared of internships during my college years, right? Because I
Mhm.
thought, what would I have to offer to the companies? So I rarely applied to an internship. I actually never applied to an internships because I didn't think I was good enough to apply for internships. So honestly, my first internship was with Amazon, and it was 6 months ago. And how I landed it was basically in campus placements. So it was majorly standard interview preparation and DSL only.
Mhm.
So
But you would agree, right? So that if a college student has internships in his resume, that would make it outshine amongst other resumes.
definitely, I would suggest getting some internship experience at it, and it basically widens your horizons, right? It widens your mind. So
Mhm.
if you can get an internship, I would definitely recommend getting one.
Okay.
So
Okay.
what would be your best advice to college students studying right now, which would help them in securing an actual internship?
I would say do not think much about if whether you know something. Basically, even I tried to apply for Google Summer of Code a few times, right? I would always start shortlisting projects and all, but then I would think I'm not good enough. I do not know enough C++, or I do not know enough of this, enough of that. So my advice would be to just go ahead and apply. Nobody's really good enough in their first internship. So you'll learn along the way. Maybe you'll be good enough in your second internship, third internship. So my advice would be to just start doing and stop thinking.
That is actually very great advice. Like, stop thinking and start doing.
Right.
Everybody should apply, not only college students. Everybody should apply that into their career. Okay. So, so Jatin, like, could you share like a little bit insight about your projects that you made to display on your resume when you were applying for, like, you were sitting for the interviews?
Right, right. Okay, so basically during my college days, I made couple of projects. So basically, it was a tough decision for me which projects to include in my resume. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the few ones I can remember is so basically there is a result website for DU, right? Whenever the result comes out, the website usually crashes out. So it very often crashes out. So about 3-4 years ago, when I first learned Python, so when the semester results came out, I thought, why not scrape it? So I
Yeah.
started developing a scraper. It barely took few hours, and over time the website got evolved, the scraper got evolved, and now it is at a stage that it can scrape around 700,000 students results in just a few minutes, and
Yeah.
it actually helps students, right?
Yeah,
Because in
definitely.
masters you got to have a merit list, and everyone does not know everyone's marks, and it is not openly available.
Mhm.
So a little there, a little here. So the impact of the script was a lot. The coding involved in it was not really much, but it was an impactful project, I would say.
Okay. Okay.
So that was one. Second one, I would say recently, I mean, about a year ago, I developed a file transfer protocol from ground up. So basically, the FTP, as we know, right,
Yeah.
FileZilla and everything uses a file transfer protocol. So there is a FTP spec, like World Wide Web Consortium makes spec for all the protocols and all the things. So
Mhm.
I followed the spec. I built the protocol from ground up. So it was a good learning experience for me, really. So I'm very proud of that project, actually.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. So, okay. So, like if as a student, what do you think that that the other students should what kind of project should they make to like give a very good impact about themselves, like they don't do
Right.
really know the technologies and all.
Right. Good question. So basically, this is a very common question, right? So my
Yeah.
advice is pretty general. First, try to make the projects which are actually a utility to you.
Okay.
If you go about thinking, I will make this project, I'll make that project, it does not really matter much. If you make a project you will have a utility for,
Hmm.
other people will have a utility as well for that, and it will be an impactful project.
Mhm.
So rather than choosing complex projects, I would say choose impactful projects. After that, second priority you can probably give to new tech stack or something, I don't know, standard, like make a shell, make a Linux shell, or make a database management system, those kind of classic projects as well,
Okay.
right? Basically, I'm not a fan of a CRUD operations, right? Like if you developed a website which will be just writing and inserting records in the database, it
Mhm.
will not be very impactful in terms of resume as well, and it's not really much. So I would
Mhm.
say make something which truly stands out.
Okay. 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 Great. Okay, so okay, so like I've seen most students like they're taking online courses or participating in events and programs that they're not really learning something. I won't mention any particular course or anything, but I've seen a lot of them. Like on LinkedIn, it is like completely LinkedIn is full with these things. So do we really think like having certificates to show and so that helps to get interviews or like get even a job at FANG
Uh,
companies?
uh, I'm not really sure, right? Because let's say there are two kinds of certificates. If you are talking about college certificates from the events you attended in college or from Udemy courses, Coursera courses,
Yeah.
I don't really think the certificates matter much. The learning definitely would matter
Yeah.
throughout your life, some point or the other. The learning would matter.
Mhm.
But if you're talking about certificates like AWS solutions, architect or these kind of certifications, they really help you in your job, right? They might not help you in landing a job interview, but they will definitely help once you are inside the company. So,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
So, Jatin, since you started a full-time job recently, what has been your experience, in terms of working environment and learning new things?
Right. So first of all, I would just want to mention working at Amazon, either as an SD intern or working as a full-time, is absolutely same. Like there are only a few differences. Otherwise, you get all of the responsibilities and all of the exposure you're supposed to get in terms of technologies or languages or projects. An intern gets a lot of experience at Amazon. So first thing is that. Second thing, working at Amazon is really challenging, right? Honestly saying, it's very challenging. So let's say, like I have to accomplish some task in the coming week, and I still do not know how to do that. So I'll be learning along the way and doing it and getting it done. Now, once I get it done, when I look back, even I cannot believe I did that in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So
Okay.
it's that kind of environment.
Okay. So, let's just learn something about the interview process. So, how many rounds were there in the interview when you were sitting from in campus?
Let's say there was a first online screening round, right? Like 75 people sat in the screening round. 15 of them got selected. After the screening round, I got through 4 interviews. First 3 were technical rounds, and the fourth was a bar raiser round. I'm sure people preparing for Amazon or familiar with Amazon's interview process know what a bar raiser round is. It's, uh, yeah. So basically, there were 4 rounds. Yes.
Okay.
What kind of questions did they ask, in the final round? What was the main theme?
Okay, in the final round. So, okay. So the bar raiser's responsibility is a little different from other interviewers, right? So in the final round, my questions revolved around, let's say, what is your favorite music player? So how would you design that music player? What data structure would you use? How would the database look like? Let's design the database. Think about the use cases. So it went a little into the design perspective. I won't say it went properly into design, but it was revolving around that part. So last interview was very challenging for me.
Okay. And the screening rounds and interview rounds, like DSN algo and
Yes.
questions were
Usually
asked.
DSN algo. Basically, it's same as every other standard interview process, right?
Mm-hmm.
You prepare and you go through the DSL go rounds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's mainly around that, yes.
So, like in DS and Algo, is there any particular topic they were giving more pressure on? For example, arrays or linked lists or something like that.
I wouldn't say so actually. It's very interviewer specific, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very interviewer specific. So it depends totally on what day is the interview and who is the interviewer. So I don't think there's any preference on topics.
Okay. So, this question is my favorite question. Did you have any HR rounds?
No, I did not have an HR round, surprisingly.
Oh, you did not have any HR rounds. Okay.
No, I did not have an HR round.
Okay. So, let's jump to the next question then. So, how much time you gave for DS and Algo preparation only? Like for solving questions online, how many questions you solved and how many topics, how much time you gave to each and every topic and something like that, kind of roadmap.
Kind of a roadmap. First thing, I would definitely want to say that such kind of roadmaps do not usually work for everyone, right? Because everyone's background is different, everyone's exposure is different. So I've been doing computer science for 5 years, right? If I tell you what I did 3 months before my interview, I'm not sure it would help someone who's just started coding a view 1 to 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a different. So I did competitive programming on CodeChef, HackerRank during my earlier college days.
Okay.
So if you are asking specifically about how did I prepare for interviews, I'd say I went through the interview bit, then it's lead code, then elements of programming interviews is a book. So I went through all 3 Ds.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I went through them in entirety, but that's pretty much it. And in terms of topics, I would usually spend 4 to 5 days per topic, I guess.
Okay. Like it was for the interview preparation.
for interview preparation specifically, let's say I spent around 30, 40, 45 days. Let's say which I spent around 45 days for interview preparation, and I would give 1 week to each topic.
Hmm. So you must have had like already previous experience in all these technologies, and you just revised in 4 to 5 days, right?
Uh, I would say I definitely understood the concepts and I was good at coding. But if you're, let's say, interview preparation is a different kind of flavor, right? You've got to prepare some standard questions. So those
Hmm.
questions were definitely new for me. So the only advantage I had was I did not have to struggle with coding. Anything I had in my mind was very easy to code for me. So I had that kind of experience with coding.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
was very helpful.
Just
Okay.
one more question I'd like to ask. Since you mentioned you practiced on coding websites like CodeChef and HackerRank, do you think investing a lot of time and effort into websites like CodeChef to build a healthy rating while compromising on other things, is that worthwhile to show on your resume?
Uh, you said compromising on other things. What other things do you
I
mean?
mean, if you're trying to like go 7-star rating on CodeChef, naturally, other things like learning other technology stacks and making your projects, that is going to take a hit, isn't it?
Right, right. You're absolutely right. So, see, the first thing I really believe is, see, competitive programming is a sport, right? Like any other sport. So it's not like if I play cricket for 90 days, I'll become a national level cricketer. It's not like that. So anyone who will code on CodeChef for 1 year does not become a 7-star rater. So it takes a lot of effort. So I don't think that effort specifically for job preparation is worth it. If you really enjoy competitive coding, if you want to be good at that sport, definitely you should go for it. But if you just want to be good at coding, I don't think you should go behind ratings and coding, right? Like I never had any good rating. I was barely a 3-star coder. So that is fine, I guess. You just gotta open your mind, get a hang of it. How does competitive programming work? How does test cases work? So that kind of stuff, once you get used to, I think it's okay to put it down and focus on development, because development is something that will help you throughout your job and throughout your life. So competitive programming will help you land interviews and get through interviews, but at the end of the day, you gotta do your job, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, even actually I've seen tons and tons of profiles on LinkedIn, and people like who are interns at FANG companies or they're working as a full time. Like they during their college time, they didn't have like a very good rating. They were code masters or something like that on a code chef or code forces, and most probably they didn't have many internships as well. Like most of the students have a lot of internships, 5 to 6 internships in their profile to show. Still, they like landed up a job, full time job in these companies. So yeah, it totally depends upon the knowledge and not upon the things that you show in your resume per se.
Basically, my point was, even if you code on CodeChef for 3 years
Hmm.
consecutively,
Hmm.
it's very, very possible that you do not have a rating to show on your resume, right? You
Hmm.
can only put something in your resume when you can say that I'm in the top 10 coders of the country.
Yeah, yeah.
So only those kinds of things you can put in your resume. If you put like I have 1500, 1700 rating on CodeChef,
Yeah.
I don't think it makes sense for an interviewer who has never done any CodeChef coding. I don't think that makes any sense for him. So those are mere numbers for him.
Okay, okay. So like, I have a question about this thing. Like, when we are getting shortlisted through the HR round, like the HR kind of goes through all the resumes, and it is kind of a cutting round. Separating the bunch from the few
Right,
good people.
right.
So, what kind of resume should we design? Like one-page resume. What kind of things we should write? I've seen a lot of people saying that the resume should be one page only. So, like, any advice from your side on
Uh,
this?
right, right. I actually spent a good amount of time designing my resume and making sure it was definitely worth it. So basically, I would say, uh, first of all, you should never lie in a resume, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you are lying, make sure you are very, very good at it, because if you get caught, all of your real achievements are at stake as well. Your credibility will be lost. So that's a very bad idea, first of all. And then maybe, I don't know, I'm more concerned about the aesthetics of the resume, right? Like what all things should you include? If you are including that I went in such and such college, I won such and such competitions, I don't think that makes a lot of sense in the wider perspective, right? Over past 4 years, 5 years, what did you do? You went in some colleges and won some prizes. I don't think that concerns the interviewer. The interviewer would be much more interested in what did you do in your projects. So you got to choose. So those are the trade-offs in one-page resume, right? That is the concept around it. You got to choose what matters most to the interviewer and leave out the things that is not important. So if you ask me, things like career objective, or let's say small achievements, small achievements. I mean, you participated somewhere, you participated in 5 hackathons. So that does not really matter unless you won the hackathon. I don't think that's worth putting in your resume. You cannot put everything in your resume you did for the past 4 years, right?
Definitely.
So I guess, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is actually good. So, like, do you have any advice for the students for while they're sitting for the interviews? How should they prepare for it? Like, not only the coding part, like presenting themselves. It is like a really big part for these FAANG companies. They're looking for people who can fit into their culture, not just people who can code, right?
Right. You are absolutely right here. So my advice would be like you should really like you prepare for interview preparation. You should also prepare for presenting yourself. Like you should work on your communication skills, do mock interviews, do a lot of mock interviews. So you get used to the time constraint. You get used to how to talk to people, how to talk to them with clarity, how to convey your thoughts clearly to the interviewer. So anything you are coding, you are writing, you are thinking, you are able to convey it to the interviewer very, very clearly in that time frame. And definitely, right, any impression is everything. Let's say there's a 45 minutes interview, you only have 45 minutes to make an impression.
Right.
So that you should definitely work on those things.
Okay.
Wow, that was some great advice, Jatin. Thank you for taking out the time. It was a pleasure talking to you, and we learned a lot.
Yeah, and actually, I saw your resume as well on your LinkedIn profile. It was like really well drafted. Things written in the proper indentation and everything. So it was like really impressive.
Right.
And yeah, guys, I think everyone learned a lot. Even eventually, I would say personally, I learned a lot. A lot of my myths were busted. What certificates of participating on mentioning things on resume. And yeah, guys, we also have a kind of small surprise for you as well. Like last week, we had a 90% off on coding blocks courses for those people who performed really well in the quiz. So this week we have an association with a startup called WECBR, and the students who will be participating really well in the quiz, or maybe I will provide in the description box as well. So you can send me your resume, and we'll be providing internships to those students, and maybe boot camps or anything for deserving students as well. So you can just check out the description box for the other details. And Jatin, really thank you with all my heart for taking out the time and helping us.
No problem. My pleasure.
Okay, contributing
Okay,
to
guys.
society.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jatin. Bye-bye.
Bye.